Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 89 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We have another great organization this week as we highlight the Illumination Foundation and Carolina Fireflies. We have Dustin Summerfield and Kathy Moore with us today. Dustin is the coach and athletic director of the Fireflies and the league associated with the Fireflies, and Kathy is the CEO of the foundation and maybe more importantly, the team mom. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
All right, Dustin and Kathy, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we're going to get right to it, and maybe Kathy, I'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that you would like to share before we get into the foundation.
Basically, I have worked with people with developmental disabilities for 24 years. Started as a volunteer at Holy Angels, taught at Gaston Comprehensive Day Center when it was around, and then just moved throughout my career, dedicating my life to people with various disabilities.
Okay, very good. Dustin, what about you, sir? What would you like to share?
I was cutting meat for 20 years, and I started coaching the Fireflies baseball, and then started taking on dealing with Chris, a couple guys from the baseball team. Started working with them and Sean. And that's basically what I do one-on-ones with.
So where you guys, are you guys, I know before we started, Kathy mentioned you're originally here from Gastonia. You're born and raised here?
I was born and raised here in Gastonia.
Okay.
My grandmother actually worked at the Dixie Yarns mill.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Way back during World War II all the way through.
Holy moly, wow.
So, yeah, we've been here for a while, my family has.
Dustin, what about you?
I was born in Fort Myers, Florida, and my parents transferred with jobs and moved to Sarasota. Then we moved up here when I was about 10, so I've been here for about 28 years now.
Okay, that's a good while. So we'll accept that as you are a you know enough about Gaston County.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the big question, and I'll maybe and we'll throw out questions that are really for both of you, but I'll maybe start with you, Kathy, on this one. What is the Illumination Foundation? What is the Carolina Fireflies? You know, so this is what is their mission, and just kind of give your background and anything that you'd like to share specifically, because there may be some listeners out there who just aren't familiar with your group.
Sure. Illumination Foundation was founded in 2015, and what we do is we promote the normalcy of people with disabilities in the community. We try to bridge the gap between people with disabilities and the community at large, and introduce them to their peers and really integrate them into the community. I find that the best way to educate about disabilities is through exposure. Okay. So that was our first mission, is to just get people with disabilities visible in the community. From that, we were approached by Taylor Duncan, who is the commissioner for the Alternative Baseball Organization. And it was really interesting because I was kind of on the fence, wasn't sure how it was going to go. And I just kind of put out a thing on Facebook that said, hey, I need a coach. And Dustin was the first to respond.
Wow. Okay.
He raised his hand and he said, you know what, I'm willing to do this. We started the Carolina Fireflies with 3 participants in 2019. This year we have 26 qualified players.
Wow, okay.
So we have grown quite a bit over the years.
Okay. So Dustin kind of, so if I heard that correctly, you answered a social media request. Is that correct? Okay. That's interesting.
I've known Charlotte, Kathy, since I was 14, 15.
Okay.
So her ex-husband was friends with my brother, so I was hanging out with my brother, and so
there was already some connection.
Yes.
Okay.
So I knew her from past, and I was like, yeah, I know, I'll do it. I've played baseball and sports my whole life, and actually I was coaching at the time, so I was like, yeah, just do this and pick it up, and
okay.
We just kind of went from there. Started out, let's say, with 3 players, and I think by the first year we had 8 players, and next year I think we had 12, and we had 16, and So we just kept on adding players as we went on.
So talk about, can you talk about the league? Or are there other teams from other areas in North Carolina, or is it just a more of a local thing here only? Or
it's local. We do have people traveling from Charlotte because there's nothing really like this in the area.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this, because I said I was playing baseball and sports. There's always, you got rec leagues for kids, you got rec softball for men, you got co-eds for men and women,
right.
You got adult amateur baseball leagues, but you have nothing really for this community that will help them have the same experience as a normal person would as playing slow pitch softball their lives, or
sure
playing for a minor league baseball team or a amateur baseball team or semi-pro football. Just give them something to look forward to. And
okay, so typically a question we like to ask is talk about some of the initiatives, but is the Carolina Fireflies, is that pretty much the primary initiative that the foundation is involved with currently?
Yeah, at this point, our main focus is the Carolina Fireflies, but that's because it's baseball season.
Okay, gotcha.
In the off season, we do a lot of community events. It may be a scavenger hunt in Uptown Charlotte. It may be the concerts at the Rotary Club in Gaston County.
Okay, gotcha.
It may be a night at Citycade. It just depends. The idea is to have adult activities for adults that live with disabilities. As Dustin said, there are a ton of programs for children, but once we hit that 18 to 21-year-old mark, the programs decline, and there's not near enough support. And again, there needs to be some normalcy. We're at a point where 1 in 5 children are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder every year. 1 in 5. That is a huge number.
Right.
And we are becoming more visible. And we have goals in life like anyone else has. I'm working with a young lady right now who's looking to get married and start a home, and her partner build a life together.
Right.
And we just want to normalize that and say, you have a right, just like I have a right, to be happy and be loved and be a part of this community. They contribute in so many ways, whether it's volunteer work or just being a light in someone's life, that they do, and they deserve the opportunity
sure.
to go out and have a meal and it be normal for them to have that meal.
Right.
A lot of times we go to restaurants and they'll see an individual with disability, automatically give them a kid cup and some crayons. And I love that people are empathetic.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with adults, it's very important that they're treated like adults.
So what's the typical, what's the age range that you guys are serving?
15 and up.
15 and up.
Okay.
15 all the way through.
Okay. So describe to me maybe a day in the life, or how often are games, where are the games played, that kind of thing?
So the league games are every Tuesday we're playing at T. Jeffers Center because we didn't get the fields up, and we played at Poston for the past 5 years. We didn't get them this year, but we play the Bees about once a month because that's the only team in the ABO association that's near us, and they're in High Point, so we're about an hour and a half drive from them, which is part of another reason why I wanted to do the league, so we didn't play more games instead of practicing for 8 months and playing 4 games, 2 in High Point, 2 down here. So now they got a 6-game season and a playoff season. Then they'll play our all-star team will play the Bees, which is Carolina Fireflies will be our all-star team.
Okay. So
essentially the way it works is we have 3 teams in the league, red, blue, charcoal.
Gotcha.
Okay. They consist of typical individuals as well as people with disabilities. Now, it's not like the Miracle League. They're not on base with their person. They're playing just like anybody else would play ball. And then from those 3 teams, we select 15 to play for our travel team, the national team, which is Alternative Baseball Organization. Now, currently, the Carolina Fireflies are the largest team in alternative baseball. There are 38 states that have alternative baseball leagues. We play here in North Carolina, and then we do the national game, which is this year will be in Dallas, Georgia. So that's essentially how the league and ABO kind of work. We just got too big to only do alternative baseball. if you got 26 people in your lineup, somebody's not playing.
Yeah.
So this way, everybody gets played. And we had our first game last night, which was very exciting. We had a doubleheader. And it was a good experience. I think everybody really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I believe we'll probably be on YouTube. Rosie putting it on YouTube?
Right. We have a YouTube channel, Carolina Fireflies, where you can look at the games. And if you want to watch them live and can't come to T. Jeffers Park, it's on Game Changer. You can download the app and watch the game live from Game Changer.
All right. So that's a lot. That's a lot to take in.
It is.
But that's good. It's interesting. What it feels like is it's such a niche, right? It's such a unique. And you mentioned that there's just not many things like it. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, Cap. So, with your time with the foundation, Carolina Fireflies, can you maybe describe maybe an anecdotal story of a success or something you're most proud of accomplishing or seeing? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot of examples, or a player or somebody you've been serving that just, wow, that showed the whole point, right?
I think Cameron Reimer.
Okay.
He's a guy, he's nonverbal, lives with autism. And when he first started with us, he was very reserved and very unsure. He wasn't sure who to trust, who to listen to. We started, he would swing at the ball, but he wouldn't swing hard.
Okay.
Didn't know how to get him to swing hard. And then finally one of our assistants said, Cameron, make it loud. Use the sound. Make the ball hit loud, which is now kind of our mantra, make it loud. It's on the back of our shirts. Now this young man is coming in and he's high-fiving and he's using words to communicate. He's making friends within his teammates. He's learned to trust Dustin. And the fans really cheer him on, and we've really enjoyed. So I guess on the Carolina Firefly side, that's our biggest accomplishment.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I played sports growing up through high school, and sports can be. You can see that across all sports and all levels and all skill levels, right? Of somebody who. Is that reserved, and they get in with a group that they trust and have fun with, and next thing you know, they're leading the team and leading the encouragement, or whatever however you want to describe that.
Right. It's really hard for people with autism to make those social connections. Yep. And I think that's part of the beauty in what we do is everybody is together so we all feel normal. Okay. When you get a group of autists together, it can be a little awkward, but after a while they start, okay, all right, this person knows how to communicate with me. This person knows how to be with me and not be offensive. Right. Then they start to relax, and then you can really get in there and get some of that social anxiety and tame it down a little bit. And I think that's a lot what happened with Cameron, was he built those relationships. And what separates us is that we play by major league rules.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the only adaptation in play is we play with a 12-inch gym ball. So this is not your Special Olympics, everybody's a winner league. It's just not. These individuals are out there, and they are playing hard, and they are competing. They are sliding. They are stealing bases. And it gets wild out there.
They're getting dirty.
They get dirty.
Yeah.
It's not baseball if you're not dirty.
That's right. Yeah, if that uniform's not dirty, you maybe didn't have that baseball effort. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad to hear that. And listen, I was on the website, and those pictures were those were legit photos of baseball happening. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know what I was expecting when I looked on there, but it wasn't. It wasn't t-ball.
No,
you know what I mean. It was very typical baseball for me and what I know about it. So. This is a classic question that we'd like to ask is, looking ahead for the organization, what do you see down the road for the future, or is there any big plans, or is it trying to serve more people, or just, in general, what do you see going forward?
I think to serve more people, have more people included, really reach out to some of the folks that don't know what their options are, that don't understand how to navigate the community or services and support that they need. That's another big thing we do, is help guide individuals to the support that they need. I could go into 10,000 things that we need for people with disabilities: housing, income, jobs.
Sure. Yeah.
And we just want to support our people through all of that, and let them know, hey, you're not alone. You're not the only person that deals with these issues. And it goes beyond intellectual disabilities. Veterans of war, they suffer a lot of social anxiety. Regular people that have had accidents, that are now disabled, they need service navigation and support navigation. So I think just outreaching more to the community outside of Gaston County, we'd like to go out into the entire state of North Carolina. I think same thing with baseball.
Yeah, it's eventually expand and grow.
And if I heard you correct early on, I mean, it's you're serving others from not just from Gaston County. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Because it's such a unique program. So how does so you've got a player or somebody that you're serving. How do you find them? How do you get in touch with them? I mean, is it people reaching out to you, or how does that work?
It's both. It's
Okay.
both. I'll be honest with you. If I see someone with a disability, my first question is, hey, how old are you, and do you play baseball? Do you coach? Do you want to coach? And that, and then Dustin does a lot of community work.
Okay.
So a lot of people ask about his hat or his shirt or the individual he's with, and he does a lot to really advocate for us.
Gotcha.
And get our name out there.
Okay, so this is a question that I like to ask, and you've shared, you really already shared a couple of reasons, but I'll more than one reason, but I'll ask anyway, and I'll start with you, Kathy. Remember, this is a podcast about Gaston County and the positive things that are happening around here. And listen, and there are a lot, and you really described one here as well. But why would you say Gaston County in general is better because of the work you guys are doing here?
I think that if you look per capita, there are a lot of people with disabilities in Gaston County.
Okay.
We're one of the biggest service needs areas in the state, and I think what makes us great is that the people that support one another. When you walk into a restaurant, they don't look at you crazy. They talk to the individual. The people, the compassion, the empathy. I think what we do brings out more diversity and inclusiveness in the county, and I think that's very important.
Okay. Dustin, how would you answer that question? Why do you think Gaston County or not just Gaston County, because you're reaching a little bit broader group than just Gaston County, but why is Gaston County better? Because of the Fireflies and the Illumination Foundation?
Yeah, it's just an original, unique thing that really is just not being done, not that we know of. That's growing to the community, and ask the 26 players. I'm sure they'll say it's
I'm sure
great, and they're probably the highlight of their week. Yeah,
I mean, my fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look up what episode the Special Olympics was. Episode 58. We actually had 2 players from the Fireflies on the Special Olympics episode. So if listeners out there, if you haven't listened to that episode, you could hear the enthusiasm in their voices, when they were talking about it. And in fact, they may have talked about their experience with the Fireflies more than some of the other things that they were involved with. So again, that was David and Samantha. So again, I would encourage our listeners to go out there and take a listen to that episode if you want to get to Dustin's point about hearing from somebody who's been involved with it. So I mean, before we've got a couple things, questions that we'd like to go through here that are Gaston County related questions. But before I do that, is there anything I haven't asked that I should have asked? Anything like to share? Now, one of the main points before we finish, we'll make sure that our listeners know where to find more information, I don't know if you ever need volunteers, you have any events specific coming up, or just, we want to make sure our listeners know how to get in touch with donate or however, so we'll make sure about it. Is there anything I haven't asked or anything you'd like to share before we kind of shift gears here briefly to go to these Gaston County related questions that we're going to make you answer?
I would just like to say that it'd be great to see people in the community come out and support our guys.
Sure.
It is not what you think it is. Take all your ideas and throw them away.
Yeah.
Because what is going on that field is truly competitive baseball. They are trash talking and they are
that's good.
Out there having a really good time, but they want to win.
Yeah.
They want to win. So I would just encourage the community to give us a shot.
Is the schedule on the website or
Yes.
Facebook or those places? Is that
Facebook's
where they
both.
can find? Okay. Again, we'll make sure we touch on those. So, again, this is, podcast about Gaston County. We have these Gaston County related questions that we like to ask our guests, and we really don't give you any choice. Especially, you both been here. Well, Kathy been here your entire life, and Dustin, you've been here long enough maybe to answer some of these questions. And I'm going to call them the illuminated speed round of questions this week. Is that a good segue? All right, Kathy, we'll start with you. What's your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Lemon.
Lemon. Gosh.
Lemon.
Benny Cherry, did you hear that? I got one of my buddies that was on early in the podcast, and he was the first person I ever heard say that.
Lemon.
But we've had a couple people over the episodes that have said that. Dustin, what about you, sir? You have a favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
I would say I have a favorite. If I did, I'd probably say cookies and cream.
Ooh,
My wife
yeah.
likes the grape.
Okay, great.
My wife likes the grape.
Grape. That might be the most popular answer. It's wild. Grape ice cream, but
It's
yeah,
like a sherbet.
yeah, but and you can't, and it's very rare. I think. I don't think that's something you can get
Right.
very, very often. Dustin, are you a Sundrop or Cheerwine person?
Cheerwine.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
big on the
Sundrop.
yellows.
Sundrop. All right,
Sundrop.
so we're gonna fight about that one. How about Kathy? Favorite local restaurant?
I guess I'm gonna say Sammy's. Sammy's
Sammy's
is
is
probably one of my favorites.
Dallas location or
It
Belmont?
is
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Belmont, Dallas. I go to both.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I've been to the Belmont one multiple times. I haven't been to the Dallas yet, but I need to get over there. Dustin, what about you?
I'll say the Peter Wheel.
Oh yeah, Peter Will. I was just there yesterday. It's so close.
Peter Will's great.
Yeah, it's too close, right? And
One-
then,
one
well,
of my-
the one here in Gastonia,
one of my
but we've
guys
got
loves it.
Dallas, and
Like
then we
once a
just
week we gotta
opened
go
one
there.
in Belmont, I think, too. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Peter Will. What about Dustin? Favorite local activity outside? Favorite park or something that you like to do here around town, around the county?
I mean, it's a baseball and
So any of the parks that have the baseball facilities?
the new hang time place, the golf, where they got the trackers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't heard that one before. That's good. Kathy, what about you?
Of course, I'm going to say Martha Rivers because it's our inclusive park.
Oh, yeah.
So I really like Martha Rivers Park a lot. I like that it's for everybody.
Yeah. In fact, I was just there about 5:30 this morning I'm involved with a group called F3, a little workout group, and we meet there on Wednesday mornings, do a little workout out at Martha Rivers. So, yeah, it's a very versatile, great park.
It is. It is a great park.
All right, so this is the question that I ask every episode, no matter what, and it might not apply sometimes. It doesn't apply sometimes to our guests, but I ask anyway. So I'll start with you on this one, Kathy. UNC Duke or NC State?
Duke all day.
You just got a sound effect. That's exactly what you just got.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Dustin?
Florida State. I have to go with Duke too.
So
By default.
So he just went off the reservation completely. It's not even one of the options.
Yeah, I'd go with Duke.
Oh, maybe can we edit that part out? Because the correct answer is NC State, by the way, if you were wondering. So, Kathy, what is something very few people know about you?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I would say people don't know that I was raised by a single father.
Okay. That's kind of that's a little unique in our society, isn't it?
It is, especially in 1988 when it happened.
Oh, wow.
So I'd say that's something few people don't know about me is I was raised solely by my father, who was a Marine.
Oh, wow.
And that really you're a girl dad and you raised a girl, you know how that can make you a unique individual. So,
oh, sure. Yeah, I have two girls.
I would say that.
Myself. Where did you go, if you don't mind me asking, where did you go to high school?
Hunter Huss.
Hunter Huss. What year did you graduate?
1998.
Oh, good gracious.
See, I'm telling my age here now.
You were young.
But, you know, another interesting fact.
I got a full 10 years on you there of 1988 from Ashbrook.
My grandmother, my dad, myself, and my sister all went to the same elementary school.
Okay.
Which was Lingerfeld.
Oh, excellent.
And then my dad, my sister, and I all went to Hunter Huss.
Yeah, well, Huss is terrific. Yeah, great local school. Dustin, how would you answer that question? I mean, what is something very few people know about you?
I don't know, I'm a pretty open person. I don't really.
Sometimes, listen, that's a hard question. All of our guests have not answered that one.
I mean,
are you Tampa Bay? Are you a Tampa Bay fan?
Yeah, I am. Well, from Florida.
Of course, I'm going to say that might not be something very few people know about you because you're wearing a shirt.
Yeah, well, a lot of people probably don't know. Like, I've traveled around a lot when I was younger. So I went to like 5 different elementary schools before.
Oh, okay.
Before we moved up here, then I still went to 2 different ones in Gastonia.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's a little unique. What about Kathy? Start with you. What about, is there a book or blog, article, just something that even a podcast that you might recommend to our listeners? That
I would say anything written by Temple Grandin.
Okay.
And Temple Grandin is an animal psychologist who lives with autism. She's the closest that we have that can give us a true relatable.
Oh, okay. I know I'd heard that name before, but I didn't know that
of
connection.
Autism and what it is. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I read a lot of scientific research and things of that nature. On a fun end, I would say Matthew McConaughey's Green Light was a great book.
I have read that. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It made a lot of sense to me. I was able to connect in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I have to admit I didn't know what to expect, but that was a very interesting story. Frankly, especially the part when he was younger in Australia.
Yes,
I had no idea. That was actually, and you know what? And as a business owner, as a community, in some bottom community, there's a lot of good lessons too, from a leadership standpoint, and just the things that he's accomplished. So yeah, I thought it was a great read.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you bringing that up. Dustin, do you have anything you could share there?
Nothing I read. So the only thing I really keep up is I'm a big, since I've grown up, Deion Sanders, and I always keep up with him because I think he's a good coach, and just how his ways, like he'll bench his own son in the championship game. He don't care.
And now he's in the bigger time now with being at Colorado. So I'm interested to see how.
I said he's from Fort Myers too when I was born.
Yeah,
so
he was an unbelievable athlete,
yes,
right?
Baseball, football.
Yeah, playing. Wasn't he the one that played a football game and a baseball game the same day?
Yeah,
one for the Braves. Yeah, that was interesting. Well, listen, we appreciate you kind of indulging us on those Gaston County questions. So just a couple more questions. And we'll get this episode finished up. So, Kathy, I'll start with you on this one. Again, keeping with our theme about Gaston County, and so besides the Illumination Foundation and Carolina Fireflies, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I would say the outdoor opportunities. We have Daniel Stowe's, and we have the Whitewater Center, and we have Martha Rivers, and we have the Rotary Club that does the concerts in the evening. They're rebuilding the downtown district, which I love. Yeah. The Rooster, a new live music venue. Yep. It's great. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Gaston County right now. And I think that's what makes Gaston great is we are open to growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Dustin, how would you answer that?
Like I said, the growth and just like so much stuff around with like you got mountains and just a lot of unique things with what's going on downtown with the venues and
we are unique with not too many counties have like something like Crowder's Mountain and downtown, Lake Wiley and Catawba River, and so it is unique for the Piedmont area. You normally have to drive a little, couple hours to get a mountain, even though it's not quite Mount Mitchell, but it's still a great, again, something unique and for outdoors for our county. So I think I say this every episode, don't I know, but this is my favorite question. So Kathy, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
That's a question I contemplated. You had sent me them, and I really thought about that.
Yeah.
And I think I would tell myself, slow down.
Okay.
Take it easy. Your time's going to come. If you hold steady to your truth, success is going to come for you. So I think that's what I would say is be true to yourself. If it does not serve you, do not do it.
Yeah, when I was 20, getting older and however I defined success, couldn't get here quick enough, right?
Right.
I mean, and
Right,
looking
you
back, I'm
struggle
like,
to be an adult.
yeah. I mean, now I'm
And then
like,
you're an
boy, it'd be
adult,
nice to be
you're
20
like,
to
slow
get slow that roll, right? That's a good answer. I don't know that and you know what? This is episode 89, and I don't know that we've had anybody articulate it that way. So I appreciate that greatly. Yeah. And just to remind you, you're much closer to 20 than I am. Dustin, how would you answer that question? I know it's a unique question.
I'd say just know your worth and just move on and find something better. So I said I was not in a bad situation, but I mean, I could have. If I took initiative, I could have got better faster.
Well, it's interesting. A theme that we hear, and for me, it's perspective. The perspective that I have now versus when I was 20, which was zero perspective. And unfortunately, I've grown to believe that it's just experience and time. I mean, I don't know if it's possible to have perspective when you're 20. It would be nice, but I appreciate that, especially the comment about worth. Right? I think so many people, including myself, when I was younger, there was, why did I deserve success or whatever? There's so many things that we need to quit listening to ourselves and talk to ourselves better about. Kind of some of the negative things I tell myself. We're much harder on ourselves, right, than we are on others. And if we talk to others the way we talk to ourselves, sometimes it would be ridiculous. So, but listen, this has been really good. And let's again not forget that the main point here is for our listeners to learn more about your organization, what's going on, any events, or just anything you'd like to share, website, how can they find more information out? If somebody wants to donate, are there volunteer opportunities ever? Just anything and everything that you can share for us.
Right. There's always an opportunity to volunteer for the baseball team, of course, with the Carolina Fireflies. You can find us at www.illuminationnc.org. That's where we post up our scheduled events. As far as volunteering with us, the best thing that people can do to support us is come out and socialize with us.
Okay.
Come out, have a cocktail, let's talk about it. It's not as serious as everybody wants to treat our community. We're laid back. We want to have fun like anybody else has fun. As far as donations, that is our biggest challenge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because our programs are at no cost to the participant, because we don't want money to stop someone from enjoying life. And a lot of our folks live on Social Security and limited incomes. So donating is very, very important. Excuse me. And it's good for the soul.
Right.
It's just good to feed the soul. This population is so full of life and hope. And to be a part of that is something that's really, really special. It makes you stand back and look and say, there's purpose and there's meaning in their lives. And they deserve happiness like any of us do. And so that's what we really want to get out in the community is we're just regular people with different abilities,
Do you find, again, I have no experience with this other than some community involvement through United Way or the Arc of Gaston County, some of these organizations that I have been involved with over the years. First Methodist Church here is where I attend, and we are involved with a lot of things related. But do you find, you mentioned that a couple of times, do you find that people in general just don't know how to act or don't know how to
Yes, they don't know what to say. They become very nervous. They don't know if they should make eye contact. Is it okay to touch? Is it okay?
As opposed to just having a normal conversation is really what you're really looking for.
Right.
Is that,
That's right. I think a lot of people see a physical disability and assume that there's a mental disability or a nonverbal person who has great receptive language and
Right.
just can't express themselves. That's where we come in. We come in to interpret the world. In all honesty, the world will never conform to our population. But we can teach our population to conform to the world. And the only way to do that is through exposure and experience. Yeah. And so that's where our primary focus is, experience in life. I've got folks that do indoor skydiving, that do the NASCAR experience, this one right here. We go to Carowinds roller coasters and just concerts. Right. We had 2 guys do the dirt track the other week, one that has pretty severe cerebral palsy. Loved it.
Oh, wow.
You know, everything about it.
Stuff I don't have the guts to do, frankly.
Right, right. and they have all the desires and wants that we have, and if everybody will just kind of relax and let them show you their light, you can be really blessed by what they can do.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate you sharing that. So, about to wrap this one up. So give you guys kind of the final word. Anything else you'd like to share or discuss before we wrap this episode up?
So we're always looking for volunteers, especially for the baseball to grow. So more like qualified coaches, I should say, like people that have experience that could help out a lot, that would help this thing grow. And I said, of course, just the volunteers and people coming out to games. Games 6:20. Tuesday nights, T. Jeffers, and the second game usually at 7:20. When we have double headers every other week.
Okay.
So it's one game.
So if there's somebody out here who has a child, a friend, a neighbor, or somebody they think this might be something they would be interested in, is that they go to the website? Is that the best way to get in touch with you, or how? Okay.
Yeah.
And find out more about it.
We're on Facebook.
Gotcha.
I don't do a lot of Twitter or Instagram, not, but we do, and we, like Dustin said, Carolina Fireflies, we have the YouTube channel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Where we will post up our games and then download Game Changer for a live view
of
perfect. What's going on.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time greatly, and just well done. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. It's obvious that it's making an impact, and again, this is what it takes, right? And this is what sharing this type of thing is really the whole purpose. A little over 2 years ago when we started this, is to, again, bring awareness to organizations like yourself. And like I normally do, I want to finish up with a little maybe book or podcast recommendation and a quote or thought for the week. And I think the thought ties into what both Kathy and Dustin have shared today, but I'm going old school with my book recommendation. All the way back to 1926, a gentleman named George Samuel Clausen wrote a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I like that book, and it's one I've given to my kids, and I would encourage, especially if, any young people who are getting ready to get out in the real world. It's basically 1926 model on how to manage money. And it's interesting that here it is almost 100 years later, and I think it still applies. And my quote and thought for this week comes from a gentleman named Roy Goodman, who said, "Remember that happiness is a way of travel, not a destination." And my guess is that Kathy and Dustin are probably two of those people with the work they're doing, and they're looking for, their way of travel is serving others and helping others find that happiness that, to your point, we all deserve, right?
Correct.
Regardless of our circumstance. So, again, thanks for your time. And to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast, and please don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. And again, according to Naomi, give us a good 5-star rating. Helps the podcast get noticed. Thanks again to Dustin and Kathy for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.